All right, so I feel like in this business, I hear a lot of absolutes, right? Like if you don't have a great website, you're not going to do a bunch of business. If you're not, using Facebook and social media, right, you're not going to be in the business 5 years from now. There's so many of these absolutes. When I think the reality is there's lots of different ways to be successful, right? And you said it, like you could do a transaction the same way you did it 20 years ago. It might not be as efficient, but by that same token, somebody who had no website could still be successful because they built up a great referral business, or they're willing to go out and knock on doors all day long. So there's lots of ways. Give me one absolute, though, that you think is true. So to be successful in this business, an agent absolutely has to what?
You have to be willing to adapt to a changing market environment on a consistent basis. And, technology is it's a good example of what has happened to the business over the course of, call it the last 2 decades. But it really, over the course of the last decade, is probably where it has had the most significant impact. There's a lot of professionals in our business that I look at and say, wow, it's really unfortunate that that person was so successful before and the market has passed them by. And it's because they failed to adapt to a changing market environment. So you need to not only stay on top of what's happening with all of the local regulations that are in your particular marketplace so that you understand the nuances that are associated with your local market, but you also have to stay on top of the changes that are happening in the industry and the changes that are happening with a consumer base. If you take a look at the prime target of home buyers in today's market between 25 to 34 years old, those individuals want to communicate in a means by which, a 55-year-old or a 53-year-old in my case, are probably not as familiar with. And, if I, as a real estate professional, didn't follow what's happening in the technology world and continue to adapt to a changing technology base, I would lose relevance and contact and a connection with many of the real estate professionals that are part of Century 21. So, you have to constantly change and adapt. Now, that being said, the other thing that I would offer is with people who are very senior in the business, and I've seen this happen a lot of times, they're afraid to go back to the basics. And, going back to at the beginning of our conversation, we talked about the fundamentals. The fundamentals of our business is about building a pipeline, and it's establishing a sphere of influence, and then it's working that sphere of influence in order to fill the top of a pipeline so that you can have closed transactions coming out the bottom end. Our most successful, our #1 agent in the world, whose name is Donya Perry, she's located down on the Treasure Coast of Florida. She finds her greatest success in knocking on doors. Yeah. I'm talking about a person who earns in the 7 figures, and she is a door knocker. She goes out and goes into the community where she wants to get real estate business. She understands the market completely. She's able to talk about the story, if you will, of a home not next door or down the street. Or a recent sale in the community, and she can go and knock on doors and talk to people about it. And it has served her extremely well. So, it's those type of things. It's cold calling, canvassing, networking, farming, calling past customers, out there door knocking. It's the basics of the business that a lot of people think are a waste of time, but at the end of the day turn out to be incredibly beneficial use of time.